Paradise, Odyssey, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Did you hear that? It was like a wave. It started in the front and it went all the way back. You couldn't do that again if you tried. That was awesome. How are you? It is a perfect day in paradise, isn't it? And we're here together celebrating the presence of God, which is all that there is. If that's truly what we're going to do, then this day and this year is going to be the best year of our lives. So welcome into this center, into this energy. If and as you are able, will you please stand up, because we're going to sing a song called This Year is the Best Year of My Life. So we're going to do that, and we're going to have fun, and we're going to celebrate life and God and each other all at the same time while chewing gum and math, algebra, or something. All right, are we ready? Here we go.
This year is the best year of my life.
Let's go a little faster.
The very best year of my life. And as I face it, I embrace it. This year is the best year of my life.
Up a step.
This year is the best year of my life. The very best year of my life. And as I face it, I embrace it. This year is the best year of my life.
One more.
This year is the best year of my life. The very best year of my life. And as I face it, I embrace it. This year is the best year of my
Give
life.
yourselves a hand. Walk around a little bit. Shake a hand. Get a hug if that's okay with both of you.
As we move into this morning's contemplation time, please silence your cell phones. Thank you. And let's begin with this week's affirmation from your program. You might choose to cut it out and read it aloud often this week to remind you of the truth of your being. Today, I give myself permission to dive deeper into the truth of my being and awaken the creative power and presence of God, showing up as me right now. Now take a deep breath and let the music take us into a silent place, followed by this morning's invocation.
I need to be still. Let God love me. I need to be still. Let God love me.
When this old world starts to push and shove me, I need to be still and let God love me. I need to relax, let God take over. I need to relax, let God take over.
Take this load off of my shoulders. I need to relax, let God take over.
I need to be still and let God love me. I need to be still and let God love me. When this whole world starts to push and shove me, I need to be still and let God love me. I need to be still and let God love me.
And in the stillness of letting God love me, I know that God is in this place because we are here. Wherever we go, God is. Wherever we have been, God is, because God is all that there is. It is that power, that presence, that love, that light, moving in, through, and as each of us in that delicious dance of the universe. Knowing that all is in its right place at every moment, and that we have all that we need. Yes, and right here in that flow of giving and receiving and receiving and giving, we give to one another, we take from one another in all of life. Because there is only the one life, and it is the life of God. And we come here today to the Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Las Vegas, to get it at a level we've never gotten it before, that we are God in form, that we deserve to live that delicious God life of abundance, of health, of creative self-expression that is our divine birthright for us and everyone on this beautiful planet. So today unfolds magnificently in mystery, in love, and in an absolute knowing that we are here. God is here because we are it, and God is us. And then I release these words into the universe, knowing them to be made manifest right here, right now. These words, the words of God. And so it is.
I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I
just feel like I've been in the European countryside, and I love this place. I love this morning already. Larry, it's so good to have you back. Thank you. Woo! I don't really want to do a talk today. I just want that and all this love that's in the room. And thank all of you for not applauding when I just said that. I mean, I was going to ask him to just give us a concert, but that would be mean too. So not only that, there is so much, in Sabrina's words, deliciousness to share with you this morning. It's going to be awesome. Other people are going to be sharing some of themselves with you as well. It's going to be a terrific day. This is the fourth Sunday of January. It is the fourth Sunday I've had the thrilling opportunity to explore the idea of awakening and to look at our basic text in this faith, which is called The Science of Mind, and to really go deeper with it, because that is our theme for this year, going deeper together. And if we are truly to do that, it's important to take a look not only at the basics of our faith, but actually to live them more and to practice them more. And so the theme of our year is going deeper together. The theme of January is awakening, and we've been looking at this book. This is in stores now. It's actually in our bookstore now. This is called The Science of Mind. This is the basic text, the original text of our faith. There are many others written by our founder, Ernest Holmes, but this is sort of our Bible, if you will. And all month I've been exploring each of the first four of what I had been calling up until this weekend the first four introductory chapters of this book. There's a section called Introduction, and there's four sections of that introduction, and each Sunday I've been looking at that. But what I realize is that this is actually God's instruction manual. This is the manual right here. However, the good news, the actual instructions are right here, starting on page 51, if you've got, this version of the book. And it's only 10 pages. The rest of it is legal disclaimers and terms of service. And when you get to the end, you have to click, I've read and understand all of this. But the 10 pages right there. And what I've called the introductory chapters aren't that anymore, because they're not even really numbered in the way that we normally number things. This chapter on page 51 is not numbered. It says IV. It's our spiritual IV. If you want to receive direct nourishment and inspiration and motivation about how to live life to the greatest degree possible, inspired by Sabrina's invocation, take your IV. It's on page 51. So anyway, thinking of this as a manual, instruction manual, I want you all to be honest with me for just a moment. Can you do that? When you are going about attempting something, whether it's assembly or whatever, honestly, how many of you read the instructions? Oh my God, there's fewer than I thought. Okay, so you are my people. The rest of you, what are the instructions just there for looks? For what? Yeah, or they're because and do you not read them because every time you've done it, you look at all the parts you're supposed to have, and you either are missing a couple or have too many? Yeah. Well, I think reading the instructions is important. However, that's only the first of 3 instructions in this manual that I want to share with you this morning. The first of the 3 instructions is to learn the truth. Whether you read the instruction manual or if you learn in a different way that's more appropriate to you or that is just simply the way you must learn in this lifetime, that's okay. But because we have a manual, I'm suggesting perhaps that you read it. And it starts on page 51. And the first of the 3 instructions is to learn the truth. So we learn the truth, that the way the universe is wired to work. Learning that is important, because once we understand the way the universe is wired to work, then perhaps we can work it in a different way. But so first we have to learn how to do that and deepen our belief in the law and how it works, and then prove it. The very opening words of this chapter are, one of the great difficulties in the new order of thought is that we are likely to indulge in too much theory and too little practice. Too much theory and too little practice. This whole first instruction is about proving the principle, proving what the teaching says about the way the universe works. Simply knowing or announcing the truth is not enough. Sometimes people talk about religious scientists, which is some of what we call ourselves sometimes, practicing religious science or the science of mind. Sometimes we get criticized for being in denial about things. Like if you're experiencing hell, but you're screaming at the top of your lungs with your eyes shut, it's not hot and I'm not here. You know, that kind of thing. Knowing and announcing the truth is not enough. We actually have to prove it. Because once we prove it, then we know it. Nobody can take it away from us once we know it. Do you know anybody in your life who say, oh, I know that stuff. Oh, yeah, I know that. And their life is an absolute miserable experience for them? So knowing the truth is important. And also applying it. Knowing it is only part of the equation. And so belief is crucial, of course, because Ernest Holmes also says, the one who most completely believes will produce the best results. So that's kind of also the small print as well. Because if you've noticed, maybe in your life you've completely believed something, and it's something false. And it also gets proven if you completely believe it. So he says we can use the way the universe is wired to work, or the law, only as we understand and use it according to its nature. We have to understand that. We have to be able to learn that. And so this is my favorite passage in all of Ernest Holmes' writing. I share it every year on the fourth Sunday in January because I just love it, because it's funny to me and it's also deeply true. So therefore it's deeply disturbing. Okay. So he says we can only use it correctly if we understand it and use it according to its nature. Then he says it follows that if we believe that it will not work, it really works by appearing to not work. When we believe that it cannot and will not, then, according to the principle, it does not. But when it does not, it still does. Only it does according to our belief that it will not. Don't you love that? I do. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm just up here to amuse myself this weekend because I had a birthday this week and it's my prerogative. But he does go on to explain that a little bit. He says, this is our own punishment through the law of cause and effect. That's our own punishment because we are believing incorrectly. But the law just simply responds according to our belief. This is our own punishment through the law of cause and effect. It is not a punishment imposed upon us by the Spirit of God. It is but an automatic result of failing constructively to use the law of God. Thus, sin and punishment, what we call sin and punishment in our life, or righteousness and salvation, they are logical reactions of the universe to the life of the individual. Those responses from the universe, from God, from life, are simply the result of our use of the way that it's wired to work. Can you see how important it is to understand or learn first how it's wired to work, but then to begin applying it in ways that are more pleasing to us than those cosmic 2x4s that we often get in our lives? So we can only affect change in our life on the things that we want to change if we apply the knowledge that we've gained. So first, gaining knowledge is important, yes, but then practice. Theory and then practice. Knowledge and then putting it to work. That's important. So the second of the three instructions this morning, learning it and applying it is first. The second of the three instructions is quite specific. And he says, the one who wishes scientifically to work out his problems must daily take time to meditate and mentally treat the condition, no matter what the apparent contradictions may be. The treatment is an intelligent energy in the invisible world. It is a spiritual entity working through the law of mind, and it is an actual force, now consciously directed. Therefore, it must produce specific results. Take time daily to meditate and mentally treat the condition, no matter what the apparent contradictions. So it's both instructions and an example of how it's effective. It's effective because it's a mental thing. It's using the creative power that we possess, that we are a part of in the mind of God, to effect the change that we want. And what is it that we should daily meditate and mentally treat? It's whatever it is, anything in your life that you wish to have different, that you want to either improve, eliminate, change, grow into, become, obtain. Anything that you wish, any condition or experience that you don't feel is the one that you want. or it's unworkable, or it's bad, or wrong, or undesirable, whatever the words are that you're using, we enter into daily meditation and treatment in order to effect change in whatever way we desire it. Now, just because you don't like something in your life doesn't mean that it's necessarily bad and wrong. You know, how many of us have had growth experiences that were awful to go through? And yet we grew as a result of them, right? So just because it's bad and wrong, people in the balcony are waving their arms. I finally saw somebody in the balcony. It's awesome. This is a good day. Just because we don't like it doesn't mean that it's wrong. However, if it prompts us to enter into meditation or treatment, that's a very good thing, because that practice, those spiritual practices, can help to change our minds or our experience about it. We might discover that it's truly there for a holy, divine, beneficent purpose. Or we find out that it's not so bad after all. Or we get clarity about what it's doing there in the first place. But those practices bring us to that realization. Or they eliminate the condition entirely, and we move into something that we'd like. But these practices can do that because they change our minds. And we are creating the experiences of our life from the inside out, using the presence and power of our minds. And so in this understanding of the conditions that are there only because we have created them in some way, we have participated in their creation in some way, I want to bring somebody up here who has something to share with you that is exactly about that. This is a project that he completed in a recent class, but I want him to tell you about that as well. And you've probably seen him around, but we don't hear from him ever. I think this is the first time. I want to introduce you to Moses Soriano and have him come forward.
I didn't expect to come up here so early. Good morning. Reverend Doug makes this seem so easy up here. There's so many of you. So I brought up here to share a poem with you that came through for me in a class called Treatment and Meditation. And I just wanted to touch a little bit on the classes and let you know how important those classes are, and to take the classes. They really do change you, and what really changes you in the classes is the interaction with the people and learning together. So I encourage you to do that. This poem is based on treatment, so you'll hear that while I'm in the poem, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay. I have a condition I'd like for you to hear, but it is a condition that's very near and dear. So don't judge it or criticize it or try to make it yours. For it is my condition, not yours. But I know what you're thinking, but I like to have it too. But I will not give it up, no matter what you do. For my condition has kept me safe and warm. It has allowed me to stay here, not evolving, not growing, cradled in fear's arm. I haven't had to make a speech or long for something way out of my reach. It is comfortable here where I sit. But this comfort has made me want to throw a fit. For now I recognize that I was not meant to sit. I was meant to run, to grow, to get up and go, to share the light, to share the joy, the light, the glow, to be the one to show the world what life should be the world that life is me. But I don't talk from a selfish place of not knowing. I talk from a place of love and warm glowing. I recognize that this place is the I of I am. The peace, the joy, this very land. But I know that this place is me. The me that you see when I'm full with glee. It is then that you know that you have known me. When you see me, the me in all its glory. The me who is not afraid to say that I love, that I am this very day. And now I realize that I can speak. I know that I can find anything I seek. For I am the creator that sees the present. I see it, I live it with no resent. I look forward and move with all my strength. I keep going and climbing no matter the length. For it is not the length of the path that will make me grow. It is the peace and the strength built inside that will create the flow. I now see who is me in all its glory. And I give thanks, I am thankful for my full story, the journey within that has made and has shaped me, the man that I was, that I am, who is he, the power, the strength, and the wholeness, the voice within that can always express. Yes, I am all these things and so much more. I let go, I release all of this into my core. Into the law I release this very word. I let go with the no that you have heard. So yes, I do have a condition I like for you to hear. And it is a condition that's very near and dear. And yes, you can have this condition, you hear, for I give it away every day of the year. So open your arms, for it's coming your way. You did want it, didn't you say? Or is this condition too bright for you? Is it so bright you don't know what to do? Is it so bright that it scares you away? Come on, let go. Come out and play. Let go, don't push it away. Listen, listen, it's calling you. Listen, listen, go within you. You are great. You are perfect. You are free to be. You are. I am. Thank you.
I love this stuff. I love how people get it. I love that, Moses. That was awesome. Thank you. He has a condition. Woo! And so many of us have felt afflicted with a condition that we wanted to give to somebody else because we didn't want it anymore. We wanted just to be taken away. But that is such a brilliantly clear, visceral expression of how it's done. It's like, wait a minute, no, this is mine, and it has served me in some way. And if I'm ready to let it go, then I've got to do the work myself in order to make that change. So oftentimes we don't get to know or dictate how long that takes. It is in this chapter that Ernest Holmes says there is not a process of healing, because wholeness, the wholeness, the perfection of creation already exists. It is already the truth of who we are. But he says generally there is a process in healing. There's no process of healing universally, but for us there is generally a process in healing, which is the time and effort which we undergo in our realizations of the truth. So that's our journey of awakening. That's our journey of revealing the wholeness, the perfection, the whatever in our life that we wish to experience. But it's already there. And so oftentimes we find ourselves in a condition that persists. I know I certainly have. We have as a community. I'm sure that most of you in your life have seen that. And yet you're praying. You're receiving prayer. You're putting in prayer requests. And yet it is still persisting. And what is that about? Well, Ernest Holmes says, one should treat any given proposition until he proves his principle, no matter how long it takes. We should treat until we get results. That's it. So just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. And this is the process in healing, in this particular case, in your life or in mine or in our life as a community. That's just all that's what it is. It is simply that. That is the process. And so we continue. We continue the process, we continue the prayer, we continue the contemplation, we continue the meditation, and little by little we begin to see results. And if it is something where you feel like completely like it's just not happening, then perhaps the prayer needs to shift. And that's why working with a practitioner or studying these principles in some facilitated way can help. Because it might shift your perspective enough to begin a different kind of prayer that can help that area of your life shift. So, treating and meditating is the second instruction of the three today. And I saved the best one for last. And this one can also be the most challenging because it requires the most mental and spiritual strength, commitment, and discipline. And practice, which I've always called a four-letter word. So, it's that kind of thing, but it's really, really important. And this instruction actually moves us beyond the form that we've been talking about and into pure potentiality, into the power of creation in our lives. In this chapter, Ernest Holmes says that a practitioner, and he means a practicer, one who practices this science, should not be confused over any given form, but should know that any form which is not of the original harmony is subject to change. We should not be confused over any given form, any result, any experience, any condition of our lives. The idea is that we shouldn't be confused about it. We shouldn't even be concerned about it, truthfully, because it can change. It can be changed if it is not of the original wholeness, harmony, perfection, power, beauty, order of God. Form has no power of itself. That means that somebody else in your life, something else in your life, has no power over you. What exists out there in our lives has an internal and mental cause, and therefore it is subject to change. And he explains it brilliantly how these conditions appear in our life. He says, while it is true that wrong conditions exist, they could not remain unless there were someone to experience them. Consequently, the experience must be in consciousness. Change the consciousness, and the false conditions will disappear. These conditions that are false, that we don't like, that we call wrong or bad, could not remain unless there were someone to experience them. Are you still someone who is available to experience the negative conditions of your life? Thank you, Heidi. She's done. And that was the emotion that I got behind Moses's. I mean, when he was just really there in the middle of it and then giving thanks and releasing it. It's like, I'm done with that. I am meant not to walk, but to run. Not to crawl, but to fly. It's like, that's it. If I am not available any longer to experience these conditions, they can't exist. Change the consciousness, and the false condition will disappear. So, if something unfortunate has shown up in your life, it doesn't have to stay. It doesn't have to stay there. But you get to check in with yourself to say, am I still available for this? I must be, because I'm feeling it right now. Am I ready to check out of that? Am I ready not to be available for that any longer? So here is the meat and the heart of this third instruction. It goes like this. Right here, you must stop and declare that these images of limitation are neither person, place, nor thing. Images of limitation. I love that because it calls the condition just an image, not even anything terribly real about it. So declare that they are neither person, place, nor thing. That they have no power, no personality, nor presence, and no real law to support them. I do not believe in them, and they cannot operate through me. I am free from their influence forever. Then, you begin to fill your thought with the idea of faith, the expectancy of good, and the realization of plenty. So it's not always necessary, but it might be a good practice to deny any reality of the condition that you're experiencing that you don't want. This is neither person, place, nor thing. It has no personality. It has no power. It has no law to support it. I am free of this limitation forever. And then begin to focus your attention on what it is that you do want. I'm calling that pay proper attention to what it is that you do want to have in your life. So it might be necessary just to flat out deny that this is real. Just to call it out. It's like the get thee behind me Satan idea. It's like, this is not real. What is real is peace and perfection and power and abundance and wholeness and vibrancy and creativity. These are the things that are true. Turning your thoughts to affirmations of good. It's a challenging thing because it feels so real when it's happening. And sometimes I know it feels like it may never actually end. But the idea is this practice, this is where the discipline and the spiritual strength and the commitment to your own wholeness comes in, because you get to look a condition in the face and say, that's not real. That's not real. He says, the time will come when we will let our conversation be in heaven and refuse to talk about, read, or think about those things that ought not to be. Let our conversation be in heaven and refuse to talk about, read, or even think about those things that ought not to be. That's the rough part. Because it's like, but I'm going through this. This is my experience right now. Yes? Don't think about it. Don't think about it. You know, don't think about a 2-inch pink elephant. How do I not think about something that you've just told me not to think about? Turn your attention away. Deny its reality, turn your attention away, and begin to fill your mind and your heart and your body and your consciousness with something delightful, something like God. I was talking to somebody in my office this week who has come to this area of the world by a divine call, a very clear divine call. This person has not yet begun experiencing the flow of good into actual reality and experience in their life. And yet the entire conversation was about, I have faith, and I know that this is a divine call. And I know that something magnificent is unfolding. I just can't see it right now. That was a clear example of just what he's saying. Let our conversation be in heaven. Refuse to, and it's in here where he kind of gets a little bit of a social awareness as well, because he's like, this doesn't mean that we refuse to help people who have fallen, who are struggling. It's not that we refuse to help them, but in lending a hand, we don't fall into the ditch or into the mud or into the rut with them. We instead keep our eye focused on God and then do whatever we feel called to do to be of assistance. But this is the idea, that we keep our conversation in heaven. So naysaying or calling conditions real is not the way through them and beyond them. To deny their ultimate reality is a part of how that goes away. But to talk about them or address them as problems keeps them as problems in your life, in my life, in our life. This is not a problem. This is a condition, and it is not real. It is neither person, place, nor thing. It has no personality, no power, and no law to support it. It's done. So along with Heidi's, I'm finished. I'm ready to move on, and I am no longer available for those kinds of things. That's my declaration. And if we're going deeper together, that's got to be our declaration. Because there's been a lot of stuff going on the last 5 years or so in this part of the world. Have you noticed? If you have, then you've been participating, as I have, in that experience. No longer. No longer. Oh, and if you've thought, I was convinced I'd moved beyond this, and yet here it is again. It's cropped up in my life again. What is that about? He addresses that. He says, if the obstruction is the result of a hangover, if the obstruction is the result of a hangover of belief from past years, the practitioner or practicer must know that no past mistake can hinder or obstruct the flow of divine intelligence through God's idea. No past obstruction or mistake can hinder or obstruct divine intelligence through God's idea, and that this truth is now made manifest in my life. So ignore the hangover. It's not real either. Either the spiritual one or the physical one. They're not real either. It is a condition. Conditions have mental causes, and mental causes can be replaced. We simply begin thinking mentally, replacing that with something else. So these were the 3 steps I've already given. Like I like to give an action step or 2. I've already given you 3, which is first, learn and practice, according to the way the law works. Daily practice, meditation and prayer, and then pay proper attention. Stop giving the false thing the attention that you've been giving it. We also have an opportunity to do this kind of work together. And we began it last week when Michelle came up, and as we are entering the season for nonviolence this week, it's about doing spiritual practice together. And doing this thing that is a combination kind of all 3 of these steps, all 3 instructions combined. So I'd like for you to start pulling out the 2 sheets, the colored sheets that are in your program this morning. There's a green one and a purple one. And we're going to start working with the purple one, I think, first. Because this is a way that we can sort of, actively deny the reality of something that we've been carrying. And then we will, a little bit later, actually embrace or pay proper attention to some good as well. But in order to create a world that works for everyone, which is one of the goals, one of the pieces of powerful vision that we participate in our denomination, we have to clean our own house first. And I know that that's a miserable experience sometimes, and you'd rather just clean someone else's. I love that in Moses' poem about, you might want my condition, but you can't have it at the beginning because it's mine and I'm comfortable here. But we're gonna do some time denying, releasing kinds of things. And the idea is that a world that works for everyone means we have to become aware globally of what's going on and of who's in the world. And we certainly have a great microcosm of the world right here in Las Vegas being the kind of place that it is and where people come from, which is all over the world. So we have that opportunity here as well. And I believe that every adult human being has prejudice in them. And it's not this is not saying that that you're any kind of a bad person about this, but look at the word prejudice, prejudge. It's like, let's spend some time this morning having a short contemplation, then you're going to write. These purple slips are given by the Global Heart Connection, our international outreach ministry. And after you write on them, nobody's going to read them. I want you to fold it in half, and you'll find red bowls around. There's one outside the doors of the sanctuary. I think there's another one over in the great room. Is that right? Maybe? I don't know. They're over there preparing lunch. But anyway, the red bowl is for these slips. Nobody will read them. The Global Heart Connection practitioners there will take those bowls, do a prayer of release, and then burn these slips. And so it will be gone. So if you are truly ready to not have these things standing in the way of you anymore, to be the person who is available to experience the negativity, this releasing is one of those things to do. So what is it? Let's take a moment and have a contemplation. I want you to close your eyes for just a moment. And just become aware of yourself and your life and the day-to-day activities that you engage in. If you have family or friends that you interact with on a regular basis, if you work, if you volunteer, and then think of just the condition of your life, the condition of your health, the condition of your finances, the conditions in your life. And just ask yourself for a moment, what in my life have I prejudged? What have I labeled as something that is, in this morning's terms, somehow other than or less than divine or God? What is the prejudice that I am carrying in my heart or mind today? Is it about a condition in my life? My health? My body? Who in my life have I prejudged? A person? A group of people? And I want you to check in with yourself in this moment, and if anything has been identified, find out if you're willing to release that. To have a different experience. And if you are willing and will choose this day to release it, just write it on that purple sheet of paper. And in this moment, to symbolize your completion, your readiness to release, you can just fold that over so you can't see it anymore. And the first thing you do as you leave this morning is to drop it in the red bowl. Then let's take a couple of deep breaths, and we're going to move on now into, so that's kind of a form of denying the reality of anything that has come before now, that has been limiting us. And again, to be a part of this, making a world that works for everyone and cleaning our own house, we all are connected. We are all connected with each other in this room and with everybody and everything else around the planet. And so again, from the global heart perspective, from the global connection perspective, there is a connection to the world that you possess, that you have, that you are living. And perhaps there's a larger embrace for that today. So take in another deep breath and let your eyes close. And let something emerge in you that is a readiness and a willingness to embrace some kind of a connection, a greater connection to your world. Whatever that might be. Maybe it's to somebody you haven't connected with in a while. Maybe it's a greater connection with family. Maybe it's reaching out across the world and providing service in some way. Maybe it's a contemplation and acknowledgement within your own spiritual practice of connection. If something emerges, I invite you to write that down on the green sheet. That is to remind you in this coming week of what you are embracing daily. So this green sheet on the back also has ways that you can specifically support, through this community, our interactions with the center that's beginning in Kenya, in Nairobi. The luncheon today, of course, but all of these other ways as well. And at the very bottom is another affirmation that you might choose to use this week. I remind myself that to create a world that works for everyone, I must first open to change. Be the change you want to see in the world. That means that our lives are going to change. And that's good. That's good. And it's a really good thing that we're here together to celebrate when it feels great and things are good, and to support when in those times when that change and that growth feels rough. Because it's just a natural part of life. But it doesn't mean that we are not willing to change. It doesn't mean that we then decide to stay stuck. No, instead, we just power right through it. Part of that is about denying the reality of the experience of difficulty and instead embracing the transformation that's happening. So we've got our marching orders. If we are going to truly go deeper together this year, we've got to go. We've got to go. We've got to prove them. We've got to do it. We've got to practice it. We've got to refuse to wallow in the mud. We've got to refuse to wallow in the challenge or the difficulty. We've got to refuse to call the problems real in any way that is lasting or meaningful, and instead say, this is what I'm choosing to experience, and I am no longer available for that other stuff. I'm not going to do that anymore. And so we have to prove these principles more convincingly and more completely than we ever have before. So I, for one, am excited and energized and so ready and so willing to have that be my experience and to have that be our experience. And if I'm going that way, will you come with me? All right, and so it shall be. Namaste. All right, thank you. Okay. All right. Let's pray, shall we? Daily, but right now. All right. And the beautiful thing is that daily meditation and treatment is going on behalf of this community. It's going on with our leadership council, and it's going on with our ministry of prayer. The ministers and practitioners who serve here are committed to that daily practice. And I know that many of you are as well. So it's already happening. We're just ramping it up some. We're inviting us all to join into this spiritual practice together. This morning, we're going to do a treatment. The words are going to come from up here, but we're going to be surrounded by our ministry of prayer. So with our ministry of prayer, please stand. The ministers and practitioners here who serve are this is, I just want you to imagine that we stood in this circle every day this week. We do that spiritually and metaphorically. We don't actually come here and stand in a circle and pray, although that might be fun. But I can't imagine all of us coming here every single day of the week to do this, because we do it wherever we are. And that's a powerful, powerful thing. So just know that this circle, this chamber, is supporting you every single day. If you have a specific request that we may address, please write it on the back of your connection card. Send an email to the Ministry of Prayer or fill out a card in the lobby and drop it in the box there. These are confidential requests, Nobody else but our ministry of prayer will see them, and we invite you to utilize that because it's a powerful support system. But just taking a deep breath now. Prepare to receive this contemplation of truth through the introductory song, the prayer itself, and our releasing music at the end. So just taking a breath and be ready for transformation.
Spirit flows through me. Spirit, I am one. Spirit flows through me. I accept and recognize God in me as I live, as I breathe, as I feel, as I see. Spirit flows through me. Spirit, I am one. Spirit flows through me. I accept and recognize God in me. Here and now, 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 here and now.
Here and now, right here, right now, we accept and recognize God. The one presence that always has been, always shall be. It's the one presence, the only one presence there ever could be. In the beginning, God. Now, God. Forever, God. That one created everything in the beginning, and it created us in its own image and likeness. As it created the entire universe, after its own nature and its own image. God is all there is. God is all there is within this universe and without. The entire universe is contained within that one that is God. So right here and right now, I accept and recognize that truth of God, of myself, of each one of us, of all who hear these words, and of all of creation. I stand grounded in the truth of all being, and therefore the truth of my being. And as I accept that for myself and all of us, I know that right here and right now we are invited, encouraged, and illumined to say yes. To say yes to that presence and power. To say yes to only seeing that presence and power in our lives. To say yes to affirming its presence in those places that up until now we haven't been able to see it. Because it is the truth. So I stand here with that awareness. I stand here knowing that the conditions of my life are simply the end result of a creative process. And if it is a condition that I no longer desire, I can change it by changing my thoughts. By changing my focus. And by being unavailable any longer for those negative, unhealthy, destructive experiences. So I stand in that truth ready and willing right here and right now. And I honor and recognize that same willingness and that same readiness in the hearts and minds of folks present here now. And I know that as we continue to affirm this together, lives change. The world is made better. And we are doing our part truly to create a world that works for everyone. So it begins right here and right now. I step up to it and I gladly say yes. And as I do that, I release anything else, anything unlike that promise and that acceptance. I release any thought, any idea, any belief, any behavior that has limited my life, that has led to any experience of limitation. I just let it go. It is done. I no longer participate in it, and therefore only good shows up. I gladly let it go. If we are ready to let go together, let us affirm it by saying, and so it is.
I am letting go of the things that no longer serve me. As I'm letting go, God's revealed and I am whole. I am letting go of the things that no longer serve me. As I'm letting go, God's revealed and I am whole. I am letting go of the things that no longer serve me. As I'm letting go, God's revealed and I am whole.
All right, up on your feet. Let's let go. Let's let it up that way. It'll go. Here we go.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
Sing it out. I release.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
No more struggle.
No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yes, I'm only here for God.
Yes.
Yes, I'm only here for God.
And so it is. Yeah. All right, have a seat. And if you would take the last piece of writing out of your program, your connection card. We have a couple minutes now. I'd like you to fill out as much information as you think we need to have this morning, which would be if you have any new contact information, anything on the back that you'd like to make an agreement with yourself to practice or sign up to play on a service team, write anything you want us to know on the back of that card. And I want to talk to the first-time attendees here this morning. If you are here for the very first time today, I am so grateful that you came in and checked us out. I trust that something in you has shifted this morning, and it's been absolutely right. And if it works into your life, I would love it if you'd come back. If you come back on a regular basis, I think that you will find your life taking off in wonderful ways, and then we can be a part of that, and it would be terrific. So thank you for being here this morning. Let us know on the front of that card how we can contact you or how we can stay connected with you, how you found us, that kind of thing. And in the lobby is a welcome center. There's a group of people there that would love to meet you and introduce themselves to you so you can find some names out of the people who are part of this community. They can answer questions. They can show you around. There's a gift for you there that will give you some more information about our faith principles and what we believe, and it might help explain some of the connection that you're feeling here this morning. And if you've come back for the second time, thank you for coming back. You may be in a process of having a long-lasting connection here, and for that I am grateful. So thank you for being here this morning. Before we move into the offering, and we received those cards in with the offering, but not the purple slips, because we don't want your prejudice in the offering basket, okay? Just saying. You don't want mine in there either. So, but before the offering today, I want to introduce you to somebody. Now, her name is Gaynell Andrus, and you might know her by name. But if you don't know her by name and you've been here for the choir performances, you will know her because she is this tiny little ball of light that stands in the front row of the choir and just sings her heart out. And I love that about her. I love a lot of stuff about her. And a couple weeks ago, she shared some powerful experiences during our contemplative meditation workshop. And I asked her to bring it to all of you today, and she said yes. So Gaynell, will you please come forward? She's ready. Come on up.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Good morning. I am so excited to be here. And I just wanted to tell you how much I love it here and how much I love Reverend Doug and all of you. And thank you for this opportunity. So I wrote down what I was going to say at the recommendation of Reverend Doug, and I wrote it down several thousand times. No. And I kept going over and over it in my head. And this morning when we did our meditation, I was still going over it in my head, wanting to perfect it so good for you. But I also realized in the meditation this morning that it was Spirit that was so excited to tell you how much it loves this place. And so that made me feel better because I realized it's not about me. So here's my thing. The Center of Spiritual Living of Greater Las Vegas is my spiritual home. I have been a grateful, active member now for 1 year. I have studied this faith for 20 years, but I noticed a big difference since I've started coming here on a regular basis and hearing Reverend Doug's message. Just recently, I attended a class called Going Deeper Together, given by Colleen Tanaka, on contemplative meditation. We were asked to write down the things the concerns or things that kept us from our good, worries. I had a lot of insecurities and a lot of bloated nothingness. I couldn't wait to say that. And then we had to turn them in and leave them with her for a couple of weeks. So then we were given a list of Bible verses and asked to choose one to contemplate for 2 weeks. I chose God's grace is my sufficiency in all things. We also chose a prayer partner to check in with once a week to keep us on track, which was a big help for me. I chose Scott. Then in 2 weeks we met again and were given our lists back, which I barely even remembered writing, and we reported on our progress. So what happened for me was that I had 2 of the busiest weeks of my life, and left up to me and my bloated nothingness, I wouldn't have gotten through it as easily. But because of my new contemplative meditation practice of focusing on God's grace is my sufficiency, I sailed right through it. Thank you.
In fact, she sailed through it so well, it was only 2 weeks for her and it was 4 weeks for the rest of us. See what this stuff can do for you? It is so worth being here, isn't it? Thank you, Gaynell. That was great. Wow, I want her schedule. I mean, I want her time. That's Einstein time if I've never heard it before. All right. So, now it's offering time. That's it. That's what's next. I'm kind of like, what's next? This is your opportunity to participate in that emergence of the greater yet to be in this community, as well as creating a world that works for everyone. Because what we receive in this community, here and in almost every other way, we return 10% of that to our global denomination so that this work is known in greater ways around the world. So when you give here, you are giving globally, and I think that's a terrific thing. So just know that that's happening as well. But as you give here, know that it is going to support this work in the world and in Gaynell's life and in Zeke's life last week and in all the lives of the people that you see here. So we thank you for that. Thank you all for being here this morning. And I want you to give your gift a silent blessing. If you give electronically here, use your connection card to give it that personal blessing, and then we'll return them into the baskets. And then would you say after me, I am so grateful for the infinite flow of God's good. I give joyfully. I give freely. And it comes back to me multiplied. And so it is. And here's Valeri. Hey. yeah. And some of those notes at the end, don't let the dogs in who are going to come running from around the neighborhood. Some of them, I was like, wow, I couldn't hear the last note. It was so high. All right, so we're going to have announcements now, and there's a really wonderful one coming up just in a second. But as you leave this morning and drop your purple slip in the red bowl, also pick up your donation statement from 2013 if you haven't gotten it yet. That helps us be better stewards of what you're giving us in the offering so that first-class postage doesn't have to be given it. You can just pick it up on your way out this morning. So thank you for that. So I want to introduce you to, well, not the entire ministry, but the most important ones. No. Anyway, this is our Global Heart Connection. They are preparing the meal that we're going to have afterwards. And they're also sponsoring the green sheets and the purple sheets and our connection with Kenya, and they're going to announce now.
Okay. All right, Joe, this would be it. There we go. All right, we want to introduce you to Reverend Connie. This is her. If you were here last week, this is her. And so she, a few years ago, we're going to go to the next slide, Joe. He needs queuing because we didn't prep anything, really. Oh, I shouldn't have told you that. So this on the right is Jeffrey. And so a couple of years ago, he contacted Religious Science Outreach. And so Reverend Connie had a vision. And the vision was that Jeffrey was the bridge between religious science and Kenya. And so Jeffrey and his wife, Wilkester, she is a preschool teacher. She teaches 0 to 4-year-olds, and they have 40 of them in that preschool class. He's the headmaster of the school. All right, next. This is the school. There are 2 classrooms in each one of those buildings, and he's hoping at some point to have a permanent structure. But right now, this is where the 250 children go to school. Okay, next. And this is Reverend Connie, and what's really interesting, I'll just talk really loudly because I can do that, is these are their tables. It's a 2x4, and then there's another seat that's a 2x4, and that's actually their desks at the school. Okay, next. And these are the first graders, so that's you, Valerie.
Yay. Q Valerie. We are this year sponsoring with our center and the love that you share, your global connection to the world. These are the students that we are sponsoring this year. And I will be in the courtyard, and for $20, you will sponsor a uniform for the year. Another $20 would be their school supplies. Nothing is free, and it's very expensive over there. This is their chance to say yes to life. And it's pocket change for us, and it's life-changing for them. And so as we move forward, we will have different grades to sponsor, but this is, how many, Michelle, 20?
40.
40.
There's now 40 first
40, but we have 18 pictures of students. And what we'll do is I will be out there, and I have 2 sheets of pictures of students that we have available right now. We'll have more as we go forward. And what they're interested in. So if you want to sponsor a child, maybe one of them loves photography or another one loves the out of doors or whatever their particular interest. And so today we're opening up that opportunity for you to have a global connection with a child around the world and make a difference in that child's life as that child moves forward in school and in the religious science practice. So I'll be out there eagerly waiting to match you up, either for uniform, supplies, or both. So thank you very much.
So of course, as part of Reverend Connie's ministry, it is bringing Science of Mind to Kenya. When she first got there, she taught a discovery class, but with no advertising budget, little contacts. 12 people showed up for that discovery class, just by pure word of mouth. And so with those 12 people, she now decided to start a foundations class, teach a foundations class. And she had 8 people sign up for that. Reverend Connie is doing the foundation class for free. However, there is a $45 fee for each student that needs to be paid for certification fees. So we are looking for sponsors for that as well. And if you're interested in that, please see Valerie in the courtyard after the service. Thank you.
Next. This is Martin. We talked to you about Martin last year. Martin wanted to be a doctor, and so at our last year's luncheon, we received $220 to help sponsor his education. He has to go to a residential school because all the schools only go to 8th grade. It's a slum school, so there's really no schools around it. And so he is off to boarding school for his first year of high school. And so we have $220, it's $1,000 for him to actually finish school. But we've made that pledge, and Martin is going to go and become a doctor. All right, Karen, next.
And this is what we're working with. In fact, Becky Cooper is a practitioner here, and she's convinced her quilting group to go ahead and help us with the pillowcase dresses, so I get to be the Vanna. Simple pillowcase dresses that are super adorable, and the shorts, so that they actually have clothes at home along with the sponsorship that we have of the uniforms.
So for those, if you have good pillowcases, you can bring them, and we'll have a bin out there for you to donate. And they actually, out of the adult men's shirts, they make the breeches. These were actually made out of material, but they have some way they cut it, and then it becomes shorts. I don't know, I can't sew. All right. So the next one. All right, so what we have done is we started 5 years ago with the Ukraine. We went from seed to center there. We sponsored and got their youth program, the Laws of Life program, off the ground. So now our focus is on Kenya because Reverend Connie just received the authorization for this year. It is an official Science of Mind center in Nairobi. And so we're helping her from the ground floor up. And so when you come over for the luncheon today, you'll see Ed, who went to the conference. That was sort of our ending point for our 5 years. And he and Peg will be showing you what it was like when they went to the conference. So please come and enjoy lunch with us. It's $10, $5 for kids. And if you have any questions, Valerie will be in the courtyard. And this is our focus for Season for Nonviolence. It's the global awareness, peace in the world, a world that works for everyone. So thank you. Oh. If you actually like to do things and want to join Global Heart, you can see there's 4 of us and 2 who could not be here. But we're a small committee, but we'd love to have you. Thank you.
Lots of good work going on. And food. I don't know if you could read the menu, but I think it's been in your program too and on the website. But lots of good food over there right after the service, which is going to end shortly, I promise. We have a midweek service every Wednesday. This Wednesday is a 5th Wednesday of the month, and this year on the 5th Wednesday of every month, we're going to do our Taizé service. It's a really powerful and specially produced evening. Each time we do it, we're going to have 5 of them this year. This is the first one, and it's music and meditation and prayer and candle lighting and very, very soul-moving. So I invite you to be here for that on Wednesday night at 7, preceded by our dinner at 5:30, a bowl of soup, and all sorts of other stuff comes along with the soup. You can't beat the price. It's awesome. So that's on Wednesday night. Beginning next Sunday, so the first part of February, we're going to have 2 different opportunities for you on Sunday mornings from 9:15 to 9:45. Some of you are already attending one or the other of these, and they've been at different times. Next week, they're going to start being concurrent. So in this room, we have a meditation service for 30 minutes. That's led by our practitioners and ministers here. So we have a 30-minute, somewhat guided meditation for half an hour in here, or across the patio in the prayer room from 9:15 to 9:45 starting next Sunday is something that we've called Nothing Prepared Me for This. If you have a sudden loss or any kind of loss that you've had in your life and that you're still working through, this is your opportunity for 30 minutes to be in a very supportive and empowering environment to move through that more consciously and with greater support. So any kind of loss at all is you get to be the one who decides what that is. And Reverend Cindy DeLong facilitates that half hour. And so it's a really powerful experience if you want to do that. So both of them are 30 minutes just before our 10 a.m. service starts. So next week, we're going to have them running at the same time. As you heard from Moses, our classes are great. We have Colleen's class, Journey in Words, begins this week, right? On Thursday? She's doing Thursday evening. So please, you've heard about how the contemplative meditation that Colleen helped us with inspired and motivated. But also, this journal writing experience is something that she's used her whole life, and she has a great life. And many of us who have had those experiences and used journaling as a practice can find that. She facilitates it. You practice it. It's a powerful class starting on Thursday. Please go to the education table in the lobby. And find out more information if you want, but also that's where you can register for the class, so please do that. And finally, back next week is our self-supported fellowship. So if you want to bring something delicious to share, that's terrific. Nutritious food is delicious, and sweets are yummy. But if we don't bring them, there won't be anything to eat. So next week, S-T, U, Q, or Z. If your last name begins with Q or Z, I want to meet you. But S-T, U, Q, or Z, I would love it if you would bring something next week to share. It's going to be delicious, and you are terrific. I'm falling in love every single day here, and it's great. So thank you for being here. If you would like prayer with a practitioner, please come down to the front here or to the prayer room. Prayer is their gift to you this morning, and you can do that first and then enjoy fellowship, the bookstore, and all sorts of other ways to stay connected. It's great to have you here this morning. We're going to stand, and we're going to close with a song called Stand, and then we'll... Please say after me, something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is this thing called life. Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in everything I do. I am it. I receive it. I share it. And I accept it. Just the way that it is. And just the way that it becomes. Thank you, life. Amen.